Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys. As you can see, I'm nice and wrapped up, warm, freezing cold outside, guys. So I'm wrapped up, guys. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to all of you guys. I hope you guys are having a fantastic cold Saturday evening. Well, it's Saturday where we are, guys. All right, so marhaban, welcome everybody to this live stream. Let's check out. Let's see if we've got another design here that we can use. Yeah, so we've got this one over here. Also got this one. Looks a bit crazy, a bit makes you feel a bit dizzy. You got this one as well. Yeah, it looks a bit nice. Right, so welcome, guys. Ahlan wa sahlan. Let me just go on Instagram as well, just to make my Insta family happy as well. Q&A. So winter's back, guys. Winter, you know what winter means? It means wrapping up warm, inshallah. Right, so ahlan wa sahlan, everybody. Hope you guys have had a wonderful week as well. And we should make special prayers for people of Gaza. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them and give them victory over the oppressors. You know, subhanallah. Look what these guys are going through. Ajib. Never imagined that we would be able to see genocide taking place. Ya Allah, Allah give us good rulers that will be able to protect the Muslim Ummah. Okay, so I just Muhammad Huda wa alaikum assalam, my brother, ahlan wa sahlan. Ya Muallim, ahlan wa sahlan wa alaikum assalam, Habibi, Fresh Prince of Pakistan. Muhammad Huda, a person who commits homosexuality and is caught by authorities and then punished with capital punishment, does he die in the death of a disbeliever or a sinful Muslim? Unless he believes that the act of homosexuality is okay. If he makes it halal, then that person is no longer in the fold of Islam. Tayyib Sharif, ahlan wa sahlan, my brother Tayyib Sharif. My ustad told me I should give constructive feedback, so I have to be honest. These lives are very good. My brother, mashallah, I know that already. I know that already, my brother. That's not new information to me. You need to give me new information. Jazakallah khair. Allah barik. Ameen. Amar, ahlan wa sahlan. Oh, I'm very good, my brother. Amar, ahlan wa sahlan. Hope you're well. Nice to see you, brother. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. Sheikh, we know we can have a wet dream when we sleep, but sometimes I feel like I ejaculate even though I haven't. It's a small discharge and it's like water and white color. What is this? So this is known as pre-seminal discharge. Although if there's kids watching, guys, please block their ears. Yeah, cover their eyes. Well, actually, don't cover their eyes, but block the ears. This is called pre-seminal discharge. This does not necessitate ghusl, but this will break your wudu. Yeah, so wudu will break, but it won't necessitate ghusl. Ahlan wa sahlan. What is the meaning of the name Muhammad? So Muhammad comes from the word Hamida Yahmadu, which means to praise. Muhammad is the one who is praised excessively a lot, like loads and loads of praise. It's called Muhammad. MashaAllah, today the course, MashaAllah, I was very happy with the way the course went. I really enjoyed, alhamdulillah. I enjoyed the course. I don't know if any one of you guys watched the course online, or you were there, or some of you actually were there. But mashallah, alhamdulillah, I have delivered this course before, I think maybe, how many years ago? Maybe 6 years ago? 7 years ago? I don't know. Maybe 6, 7 years ago. And it was a bit different then, but this time, alhamdulillah, I think it went much smoother. And I'm actually thinking of doing it in other cities, inshallah. Hopefully, inshallah, if I can have it arranged in other cities to be delivered, then inshallah, I can deliver in other cities so that people, inshallah, other places can benefit. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ahlan wa sahlan. I hope you're well, inshallah. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother Adfan, mashallah. Hope you're well. Hope you're keeping warm from all the cold. ياسين China. ما حكم الشاة الضائعة إذا وجدها المسلم؟ فحكمها أنها لصاحبها. إذا لم يجد الرجل صاحبها فعليه أن يتصدق به على الفقراء. وإذا رجع صاحبها وطلبها منه فعليه أن يدفع قيمتها. Wa alaikum assalam, my brother Abdul Majid. Ahlan wa sahlan. How are you, my brother? As you can see, I am nicely wrapped and warm in this nice. I don't know if the sound is the sound coming, guys, because I think sometimes what happens is the sound doesn't come properly. So I'm gonna do a little trick with these. So this has got a magnet. So this is a really good thing about these is that you can use this magnet and you basically just put it anywhere in your clothing, and there you go. Look at that. Oops. Well, looks like you can't put it anywhere. I think maybe this is too thick for the magnet. It looks like it's too thick for the magnet, so unfortunately we cannot do this. We cannot do this. We'll have to go the old style. Right. Ustad, where is Khurasan located? Khurasan is located basically, Iran. Most of the eastern of Iran is Khurasan. And why is it important Islamic tradition? It's not important. There's no special thing about Khurasan. It's just a place that many scholars came from that location. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother, Muslims Corner. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. There is going to be a protest for Palestine tomorrow in the city center. Will you be attending? Tomorrow, I have to go to a wedding tomorrow. But inshallah, if I get time, then inshallah, I'll come in after the wedding. Ready for tomorrow's ride and the feast? Inshallah, my brother. Inshallah. So in the morning, early morning, I've got a ride. And then after that, I've got a wedding to go to. So it's, double trouble tomorrow. See, were you at Daniel Hakikaju event? Unfortunately, I was not. I had class. I was working. So I wasn't able to make it. Yeah, so Alhamdulillah, this week has been going very well, guys. This week for us anyway, but unfortunately for the people of Gaza, it hasn't been going very well. SubhanAllah, if you have ever been to Israel or Palestine, really, if you ever been and been stopped by Israeli guards, it's a very humiliating process, unfortunately. And these guys are extremely heavy-handed, very arrogant people. Like, honestly, they are extremely arrogant. They have no courtesy. Even amongst themselves, they are very racist people there. Like, honestly, it's just subhanAllah. So humiliating for the Palestinian people when they lived in their own land. Imagine having to stop at a checkpoint for 3 or 4 hours just so that your kids can go to a school or just so that you can visit your cousins. Is it true that Imam Mahdi will come from Khurasan? Allahu A'lam. There's no authentic narration about that. Are protests classed as free mixing, making them impermissible for Muslims to attend? No. As long as people obviously avoid, it's like going out in public, isn't it? If you go out in public, are you free mixing? If you go to Asda, Tesco, are you free mixing? It's the same thing. Because it's in public, outside. Do you think it's appropriate for women to attend protests, especially because free mixing? So generally, I think, when it comes to these kind of things, I think if women do go, then just like if women go in normal public gatherings, how would they behave? Women would, stand with women or stand to one side, avoiding being touched by men or anything of that nature. Yeah, so I think it's just about women should be aware of their boundaries, and even men should be aware of the Islamic boundaries over there as well. Protests. Is pre-seminal fluid colorless? It could differ from person to person. So there is something called wadi as well. Wadi is like a cloudy substance that comes out as well. So wadi is also in the ruling of pre-seminal fluid. Breaks your wudu but doesn't necessitate ghusl. Can you recommend a book that will inform us of the whole Israel-Palestine conflict? In fact, I will tell you, there's actually, if you go on Twitter and you go to Maulana, if you go to Maulana Hamza Maqbool, he had actually written a 20-page article on the whole history. Very, very good. It's a 20-page article, and if I remember, I will try to put it onto Telegram, inshallah. Arabic about the hukum shada'ifa. What did that mean? Because I'm trying to learn Arabic. Inshallah, my brother, I will answer that when I'm asked that in English, inshallah. So basically, if a sheep goes missing, the ruling is that the sheep belongs to the owner. And if you find it, you have to look for the owner. If you don't find the owner and many days go by, then that can be given to charity. You can't take it. And if the owner does come back to you, then you must pay the owner compensation because you gave it in charity. Was confused about the processing. It looks very tempting, part of it, but want to help in the most effective way. Definitely. So definitely, I mean, look, use your common sense, guys. Yeah, if you're a Muslim woman, use your common sense. As a Muslim woman, you should know your boundaries, and like a Muslim man, you should know your boundaries, and you have to understand the effectiveness. How effective are protests? Maybe in some places protests have no effect. Maybe in some places they do. So I would say just be a bit diligent in that. So is it semen? Yes, semen with ejaculation. There has to be a form of ejaculation, basically what we call an orgasm. Sheikh Asrar Rashid has a new book coming out called Intelligent Intifada. Okay. Igloo, ahla wa sahla wa alaikum salam. How were you able to pass Israel's border control if you have an online Islamic presence? Well, I have been kicked out of Israel, as you guys may have been aware. I've been banned from Israel, right? And I mean, alhamdulillah, I've been there 5 times. 6th time I was banned. I was kicked out, deported. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahla wa sahlan. Yusuf, ahla wa sahlan. I'm very good. Life is very good, my brother. Yusuf, alhamdulillah. Mizan Ahmed, wa alaikum assalam. Is it haram for women to protest? No, it's not haram for women to protest. Again, it's just the ruling of protesting for women is the same as the ruling for men. The only thing is when men and women go out in public, they need to be careful of observing the rulings of segregation. In other words, touching each other, etc. Those kind of things. Those kind of things should be avoided. According to Hanafi fiqh, what is the ruling of wiping the neck in wudu? There's an ikhtilaf. There's 3 opinions in the Hanafi school about this. One opinion is considered to makruh, one opinion is allowed, one opinion is mustahab. When you went to Palestine, did you speak to the local people? Yes. Did they know how much we all love them? And they honestly, when you tell them that you're Pakistani, they love Pakistanis so much. They don't like it if you say you're from England. Say you're Pakistani, they love. They like people who are foreigners that come there to support their cause. Honestly, this is why you should go there. Everyone who has the capability of going to Palestine should go to Palestine. Show your presence. Support the local people. Yeah, it means a lot to them, honestly. It means a lot. These people are in dire need of moral support. We don't realize how much moral support helps a person get through the day. Just imagine just saying one word to someone, tapping one person on the back, gives them moral support. This is something that, when you go over there. And the other thing is, you will see the people over there. You will see the people over there. And subhanAllah, these people are so strong in their faith in Allah. You feel like you're put to shame. Just completed my 4 months, alhamdulillah, in Karachi. Prayed my Jummah Salah in Banuri town. Ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, mashallah, Mubarak. We are so helpless. Sheikh, is killing non-combatant Jews allowed right now by Muslims? No. Killing innocent people is not allowed. Right? It's not allowed for a person to kill innocent people. They have to be people who are obviously in combatant. If obviously they come in the way, if you're fighting the army and these people come in the way and you didn't intend them, then that's different. That's collateral, that is. Assalamu alaikum, ahla wa sahlan. Cam, my brother, protests are important. First of all, in my lifetime, since I was a child, all I've seen is the disgusting, inhumane genocide of the Palestinian protests. Let them know we stand. Definitely, I 100% agree with that. It's very important for Muslims to understand. See, raising your voice is part of Islam. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you can't change it with your hand, speak up about it. And that speaking up protest is a very important thing. It's basically you are raising your voice to show people what's happening is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. You can't stay silent. As a Muslim, you cannot just say, you know what, just it'll go away. It'll go away. It'll go away. If Sahaba stayed silent, nothing would go away. So you have to speak up as much as you can, but you have to be careful of how you word things as well, because unfortunately, because of the biased laws that the internet is ruled by, you simply just say certain words and then immediately you'll get your account locked down. Immediately you'll get a lot of people are getting their WhatsApp locked down. I've heard recently closed down. People are having their pages closed down. People are having restrictions put on them. Yeah, and it's simply because Muslims do not have a platform which is independent. That's the problem. They don't have independent platform. So this is the sad reality. But alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, the qadr of Allah, the qadr of Allah we believe in. Everything has a plan of how things are going to happen. They plan, and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. So alhamdulillah, we believe in Allah. This is the thing that keeps our motivation going. You imagine the people of Palestine, if they didn't believe in Allah, they didn't believe in, they would have been annihilated ages ago. They would have morally been annihilated, and they would have most likely have given up. But alhamdulillah, these people have the belief in Allah. Like, if you kind of speak to some of them, these guys are a next level of iman. Honestly, a next level of iman. It's just powerful. Yasin China, I'm a new Muslim and I don't know much about Islam. What do you recommend, please? My friend is Salafi Muslim and he now teaches me some basics. Alhamdulillah. So learn your basics from him, inshallah. And I would say try to find out in your local area if there are any revert classes or online. Contact IERA, IERA. Speak to IERA. Speak to them, inshallah. What are Sufi tariqas and are they innovations? Sufi tariqas are basically, a tariqa is basically like a regime, a way of trying to get you to become more aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, so getting you to be basically a better person. Let's say, for example, there's a guy who's very, very good at giving people advice and supporting them and training them into getting close to Allah. That's what a Sufi tariqa is. That's all it is. Yeah, and the Sufi tariqa, there's many of them. And the idea of all of them is that they want to like support a person on a one-to-one basis so that person can reach their full potential in getting close to Allah. If the Sufi tariqa uses techniques which are against Islam, they're not allowed. And if they use techniques which are within the limits of Islam, then alhamdulillah. Yusha, ahla wa sahlan, wa alaikum assalam. Is sharing posts counted as speaking up? It depends, what kind of posts they are, but yes, they potentially could be. What can we do as part of towards Palestine? So you know what to do? I'll tell you what to do. If you look at, I think some posts, I think East London Mosque has put up this post which tells you what you can actually do for Palestine within the limits of the law. So check them out, East London Mosque. They've got a whole poster and they tell you exactly, as a normal person, what you can do. Things like financially supporting the people of Gaza, speaking up, right, writing to your MPs, etc. These kind of things that a person can do, inshallah. Are Jewish people allowed to get their lands back because Banu Israel was in Palestine region? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Is the land of Palestine belonging to Banu Israel? Where's the proof for that? That's the issue. If someone starts humming in Salah accidentally, is Salah accepted? Yes. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kazma Taz, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Is it possible to make Hidayah videos public? I use this app called Safe Vision and I use it to control YouTube time, but I can't get private playlists on it. So the thing about my Hidayah class, I've mentioned this before. There are certain classes which I believe it's important for students to have like a limited number of people, where people feel as though this is a class. If I put these lessons on YouTube, which inshallah in the future, once I finish a large section, I'll put some up, start putting them up. But the thing is, you want to create a class. So, public videos, the problem with public videos is you can't feel as though you're part of a class. You don't feel responsibility. You don't feel a sense of consciousness towards the teacher. You don't feel a sense of adab, right? These kind of things, because you watch the videos like you watch anything. So when there is a classroom that you attend or that you have access to, it makes it you feel more responsible. That's the idea behind it. Okay. Imam, I know someone who does hifz but has haram addictions, the fahsha nature, because it is a major sin. He feels despondent and reluctant to, because of major his sin, he feels despondent and reluctant to continue learning because he feels like a hypocrite. Subhanallah, subhanallah. I would say advise him, advise the guy, speak to him, encourage him to stay away from fahsha. Is it to do with pornography? Is it to do with masturbation, things like that? What I would suggest is trying to contact organizations that can help him in that. Yeah, there's one organization called I think Purifying the Eyes, one called Tazkiyah. Yeah, so you can try to get in contact with them. Your thoughts on Palestine situation. Check out my brother a food affair. Check out my I don't want to use this platform for politics. I've told people that from before. I do not talk about individuals on my channel. I do not talk about anything which is not related to knowledge. Yeah, people, you guys out there, you assume, right? You assume that, you know what, everyone should be talking about Palestine, on everything should be talking about Palestine, but that's not considered to be practical in all ways. So what you have to do is you have to have a concerted effort. I talk about Palestine on my social media, other social media channels, my own personal ones. But for this, it's dedicated purely for people learn knowledge, inshallah. Even though I have over 100,000 followers, it doesn't necessarily mean it reaches everyone. I put a post on my other social media and people can watch that as well, inshallah. And if someone does not, look, imagine if someone does not put stuff up on their social media, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. Do not belittle other people because they're not putting stuff up. It doesn't mean that. Muslims, just putting stuff up is not going to be the solution. Remember that. No revolution has ever occurred because of people putting stuff up on social media. Social media has to be used intelligently. Right? People have to know exactly what kind of stuff to put up. They have to know exactly how to speak up about these issues. And for people just putting stuff up, forwarding things, I personally think that is a very silly tactic. That is. If you look at the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they did things tactically. They did things with strategy. Okay. Next, Cam, being silent is like being complicit in crime. It's our duty to raise our voices and educate those who are unaware. Yeah, so definitely, but I think you have to raise your voice, I would say, Cam, but you have to raise your voice in a sophisticated manner. You have to know exactly how to raise your voice. It's silly, for example, someone running on the streets and shouting Palestine, Palestine. Yeah, there has to be a strategy of how to do things exactly, like the Prophet ﷺ said. There has to be a way. You change it with your hands. If you can't change it with your hands, you raise your voice. If you can't raise your voice, then at least you feel it in your heart. And I think personally, what happens is most of us Muslims are very reactionary to things that happen in the world. Why weren't we talking about Palestine 2 weeks ago? Why haven't we talking about Palestine, a year ago? Why is it that always when something happens, we all of a sudden feel as though now we've become the guardians of Palestine and we look down upon people who don't speak about it? No, we have to have a consistency in all of this. I think it's very important to have a consistency in how you approach the China issues and Uyghurs. Look what's happened to the Uyghurs and other things as well, other places. Did Akara Deoband differ on Mawlid? So they differed on the issue with regards to exactly how it's done. Yeah. Jew of the Torah regard having a land in a grave sin and against God's command. Abu alaikum salam. What is the ruling of participating in non-Muslim prayers? So if you're participating them, obviously not allowed. If you encourage them participating, as in actively participating, raising your hands, or as a Muslim, absolutely not allowed. If you're spectating, just watching from outside, there's permissibility for that. Okay, next. Salu ahla wa sahla wa alaikum assalam, my brother. What we can do to support Palestine? Yes, I've just been talking about that. Arabic, wa alaikum assalam. Can I obtain notes for my friend for an academic course which usually costs thousands? Inshallah, why not? It's regarding istimna bil yad and zinat al ayn yad. I think that's the issue. So a lot of youngsters have this problem. They need to get support. It's an addiction, like any addiction. They need to get support. Did you do the beginning of Hidayah, the playlist? No, I didn't do the beginning. Are men allowed to trim their beard and remove beard flyaways, loose strands? Yes, they can. And would beards such as those of Umar Sulaiman be allowed? There's ikhtilaf of Hanafis in this. Yeah. Obviously, other madhabs totally have permissibility for it, but ikhtilaf in Hanafis. Fair point, Maulana. This platform should be about knowledge. The Jazba is running strong at the moment. Yeah, definitely. Social media, I did have these doubts, subhanallah. So I think generally, see, when we're living in a society that's unprecedented, we're living in the West, we're living in a vacuum of Islamic culture. We don't know how to respond to these kind of things. Yeah, we don't know exactly how to deal with like how the Muslims. So what we do, we copy the West a lot in a lot of things, which sometimes is good, but sometimes because the West comes out with things which they simply are very liberal in, we end up unfortunately trying to superimpose that thought into the Islamic way of doing things. Yeah, so Muslims, we support each other, we love one another, wherever we are from around the world, we support, we we give charity, we stand up for our brothers and sisters. Whatever we can do, we speak to our politicians. All of these things are steps that we should take. Try to find out what is the most effective step. Speak to Cage, for example. Contact Cage. The best organization who deals with these kind of things is like Cage, Mend. These are the organizations that will give you support exactly what you need to do. Anyone who does beginning of Hidayah? No, I don't know. I've heard different meanings of verses in the Quran. I would like to properly understand what the scholars have said. Are there starter tafsir commentaries in English you would recommend? I don't know, Unfortunately, I don't know. I try contacting a guy called Dr. Suhaib. Dr. Suhaib Saeed. Yeah, he goes through a tafsir. So maybe you can speak to him. For the non-Muslim prayer question, what if you're inside and you just stand there, or if you just move around but don't do anything? I'm asking this because of school. Yeah, so then it's fine. You're a spectator, aren't you? So as a spectator, it seems to be okay. What are you drinking? This is basically Turkish tea. There's some nice Turkish tea. I think it is mint and lemon. So you can buy this from Turkey. You can buy this powdered tea. And all you do is just take a spoon of it, put it into hot water, mix it and drink it. Mufti, did the Lighthouse mentoring and alhamdulillah, I spoke to Yusuf Ponders, was very good. Jazakallah khair for alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, Yusuf Ponders is a very nice guy. MashaAllah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Be tactical. And I would generally encourage Muslims, if you do have doubts in your religion, if you kind of have these kind of shak and shubuhat, which living in the West you will have at some point or another, speak to people who are trained for this. And Lighthouse Mentoring, yeah, which is part of Sapiens Institute, does a very good job of that, from what I've heard, alhamdulillah. Be tactical, not reaction, inshallah. You're welcome, my brother Abu. You're welcome. Yeah, so alhamdulillah. So today, just some sort of like my own reflections on today's course. So I delivered a course today on the day with Imam Ghazali. So it's part of his book called Bidayatul Hidayah, beginning of guidance. And in there it's mentioned about, a section is mentioned about the sins of the limbs and the sins of the heart. He kind of summarizes for a Muslim to understand this whole concept of sinning. So I went through all of that, alhamdulillah. I went through all the discussion about the limbs and about the heart, and I personally benefit a lot from it by teaching it and preparing for it as well. And I would definitely encourage Muslims to attend these kind of talks as well, whether it's delivered obviously by myself or by other people as well. I am actually thinking of delivering it in other cities in the UK. But inshallah, hopefully, if that's organized, then inshallah, I'll let you know. Assalamu alaikum, ahla wa sahlan, Leo. Mufti, will a disbeliever enter to hell if they don't hear the message of Allah? Or for example, they are Christian living in South America and never. So according to many scholars, these people are the people of Fatra. Fatra means where the message has not reached. So for them, it's mentioned by many of the scholars that these people will be treated totally different to disbelievers, as in because they had a valid excuse for not believing in the message of Islam. Now, do they have to believe in a God or not? This is where some scholars differ on this issue. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah held the opinion that they have to at least believe God exists, right? And the details of God, they don't necessarily have to know that until the religion reaches them. How do you like these flavored teas? They make me cringe. Yeah, I think you have to have a acquired taste for it. Yeah, so I drink teas without sugar. So I'm kind of like, I can drink almost any tea, inshallah. Can I get a PDF book which the author is selling for £50? Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not going to go and sell it on or make money from it. Thank you so much for allowing us live access information. Alhamdulillah. You're welcome, my brother Amar. You're welcome. Muhammad Huda, hello. Ahlan wa sahlan. Mufti, what exactly counts as the message reaching them? Say if they hear the kalima. So generally, message reaching them is enough of Islam reaches them, which is related to the belief system, right? So they believe in one Allah. They believe the Prophet ﷺ is the final prophet. They believe in the Day of Judgment. They believe in the divine decree. These kind of things, as long as they believe in what we call the Iman of Mujmal, that would be sufficient. How come thabata is used so much in fiqh books like thabata lahul haqq? Why not just say wuhida? Wuhida? Wujida. You're saying wujida. So because thabata means to become established, wujida kind of means it was found. The truth was found for him. You're welcome, my brother Leo. You're welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan. Is it permissible to study kalam, and what exactly is it? And these scholars really differ on it. So look at this. Let me explain what kalam is in a very easy to understand way. Then you understand. And before I explain, I just want to mention one thing. You know, when people, general like lay people who are not experts. Imagine, for example, like we're not doctors, okay, or maybe there might be some doctors here, but we're not doctors. When we hear information about medicine, what do we hear about medicine? We hear snippets. Yeah, we hear little bites of information, sound bites. And what happens is we create in our own head like a whole, or you can almost say a fake artificial image of what that particular science is all about. So when it comes to headaches, we kind of create our own understanding of what headache is. When it comes to, let's say, cancer, we create our own understanding depending on how much research we've done. And in most cases, we have lots of gaps in our understanding, and it leads us to come out with incorrect conclusions, right? Similarly, what happens with people when they listen to little sound bites and little bits of this, one guy saying ilm al-kalam is right, and one guy saying ilm al-kalam is wrong, and one guy quoting this guy said studying ilm al-kalam is the worst thing that you can do, and one guy says that it's actually necessary. So students get confused. Naturally, they will get confused 100%. So let me explain what ilm al-kalam is. When Allah revealed the Quran is the ultimate guide for success. As long as you believe in the Quran and how it was explained by the Prophet ﷺ, you will be successful. Yeah, you will be guided. You're going to be on the right path, inshallah ta'ala. Now, what happened was, as time went by, Muslims now become exposed to foreign belief systems, like new sort of ways of looking at things. So now Muslims, many of the average people, like us, when we're talking about medicine, we get exposed to like a TikTok video about debunking medicine or debunking a theory about cancer or debunking this or debunking this. So what happens is the average person gets confused. This is exactly the same way Muslims historically were getting confused about concepts in their own religion. And they were trying to integrate some of the foreign belief systems into Islam to make it more sensical, like to make it more rational, like to make sense to them. This is the becoming problem. Because if you're using a foreign thought process to evaluate your own religion, then that's going to mean every 100 or 200 years you're always going to be adjusting Islam, and it's going to become like Christianity. So kalam was actually a process which was right. We're going to use a rational system of trying to understand aqidah to protect it from foreign attacks. That's what it was. In other words, imagine aqidah like valuable gold and platinum and silver and cash that you've stored inside of a safe. That's the gold, isn't it? The safe itself is the ilm al-kalam. So the Quran and the Sunnah, the belief, that's the gold. That's what we have to believe in. And the safe, we don't have to believe in the safe. The safe is simply just a means to protect all of that. So that's what ilm al-kalam is. Ilm al-kalam is like a security system. It just provides a solid rational structure to respond to people who are attacking Islam. Does that make sense? Now you tell me, is that right? Is that wrong? Should Muslims be actively learning of how to counter arguments? I would say yes, of course, especially if you're living in areas, in parts of the world where there's a lot of falsehood that people are disseminating, spreading through the media, through films, through podcasts and things like that. So I think Muslims generally, they need to have a certain understanding of how to counter these. Not everyone, Now, if a person obviously has not studied the Aqidah, I would not recommend them to study Ilm al-Kalam. Most people do actually have the basic beliefs in Islam already, but their perception is clouded. May Allah guide us. Ameen. The tea that you're drinking is sweet. When we were at the bazaar in Istanbul, the ones that looked overly white contained a large amount of stevia. Yeah, I know. I found out later. Do you sell sweet shirts, sweatshirts, or hoodies? I really like amusing Hanafi messages. So I do have some on my those kind of at the bottom of the video. Yeah, so there's a merchandise that I sell. I'm just at the moment I haven't made any other logos at the moment. I'm thinking of making some more, inshallah. Why did the ulama initially prohibit the use of printing press? In hindsight, would you have said? Okay, so this is a good question. So when it comes to the idea of when it comes to the idea of ilm, knowledge is an amana, it's a trust. So imagine, for example, like there's a sacred science. This science can be abused. I can imagine it was about showing people of how to learning how the atom works, or maybe, I don't know, something which can be, if it goes in the wrong hands, it can become very dangerous. When you teach it to someone, you teach it to someone in such a way that you only allow them to teach it to other people if you're satisfied with them. And then when they teach it to their students, so that way you have this whole chain which we call ijaza sanad, of that science being passed on so that it's not abused by people. So this was how knowledge was passed down throughout the years, sacred knowledge, especially when it came to the sacred sciences. It was passed down in this way. Now, when the printing press happened, what the scholars realized was that if knowledge like this is actually printed and it's spread amongst the masses without them having the proper training of how to understand it, what it's going to lead to is the sacred knowledge, which can be easily be misunderstood, easily be misread, misinterpreted, being passed down to people and then reading it themselves, and then leading to people coming out with a new generation of hybrid, sort of like weird beliefs that people have regarding hadith or regarding tafsir or regarding fiqh. It's very dangerous. It's like, for example, like medicine. It's like what the internet has now done. The internet, what it's done now is that it's given people access to so much information, a lot of information that can actually be dangerous for them. So the governments put restrictions on what you can actually look at. So the scholars, when the first printing came out, this is what they realized. They realized it's going to be a very dangerous thing. This is, without a doubt. It's very good because it's going to obviously make it very cheap to get books, but it's going to, at the same time, give people who are not qualified knowledge to things that are very, very dangerous if misunderstood. Because remember, religion is a small little adjustment in your understanding of something in religion can lead to something very dangerous. So that's basically why they were against it. And eventually, when they realized there's no point being against it, because now this is going to be the future now. Like, you can't stop it. It's like a tsunami now. You can't stop it. It's going to happen. They just allowed it to happen. And do you know any names, Sheikh? Names? Do I know any names of what? Of boys, girls? What do you think of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab? I don't know, my brother. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So I don't really kind of talk about people. What do I think about this person? What do I think about that person, my brother? So no offense to you, Muhammad Al Huda. There's lots of people out there you can you can access. You can look at what they think of him. You can read biographies of him as well. How can we Muslims improve strategy for dealing with times we in? So I think generally what we need to do is look. I know as Muslims, the biggest thing we need to do is, our money. We need to start supporting organization, lobbying groups that can lobby for our cause. Why is it that all these governments are now automatically the voice of Israel? Why? Why is America's always been, but why is England? Why are these countries? Because they're getting so much support from Israeli organizations and lobbying groups that now they're just thinking, well, Muslims are not supporting us, Palestinians are not supporting us, and that's why they're doing that. So you need, and now, have you heard about McDonald's giving out free meals to IDF soldiers, Israeli soldiers? Yeah. So immediately, what happened as a reaction was Muslims started boycotting McDonald's around the world, and Saudi Arabia's McDonald's actually donated over $500,000 to the people of Palestine. And Oman as well, Oman McDonald's, it's like strange. All the Muslim McDonald's now are automatically now, because they're scared that what's going to happen is each one of them is going to be crippled financially because of this. And this is a power that we have. You imagine this. Imagine if Saudi Arabia just said, right, we are going to stop all oil transport to any country that supports this the Israeli attack, the Israeli bombing. You overnight these governments, because they're after money there. That's all they're after. They have no belief system. Britain does not believe in a God. They don't believe, have values of belief. And America doesn't have any values in belief. They just have values in money. That's what it is. This is why Muslims need to invest in organizations that can show them how to progress. Can women lead Jumu'ah prayer? And if not, why is this the case? So women are allowed to lead Jama'ah, but only for women. This is only for women, that are not for men. That includes Jumu'ah. Are there narrations regarding some of the female nurses, e.g. Rufayda al-Aslamiyah, who treated wounded Sahaba during the times of war? Yeah, there are narrations regarding them. Definitely. There's narration regarding Shifa al-Adawiyah. There's regarding Rufayda and others who would actually nurse. These were like elderly women who would go to battlefields and nurse the men. Be good. Wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. What is Ghazwatul Hind? I don't know. There's no authentic narrations about this. Ibn Adam, wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Muta'allim. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. Welcome, Muta'allima. What's the best way to keep Nur al-Anwar in your mind? There's just a lot of stuff and so many ishkalat. So how do you study? So I generally recommend, before you study Nur al-Anwar, study Matn Manar. This is the best way. Like, when you study Quduri and then you study Hidayah. Study Matn Manar, which is the text. And then once you've studied the text, you're going to have a very good, strong understanding of the ishkalat. So once you've understood the text, you can focus more on the ishkalat when you come to Nur al-Anwar. I personally think Nur al-Anwar should not be taught. This is my own personal view. Nur al-Anwar should not be taught. I think Matn Manar should be taught more than anything else. And if you want to learn the information, I would say you map it out. I personally map things out. So I get students to memorize Matn Manar, the first few pages of Matn Manar, and then the rest, just like map it out in your head, keep going over it, make yourself flashcards, question and answer flashcards, and that way you can store the information or recall it easier. Is protesting allowed if rules are adhered to, like not mixing? Of course. Why do some ulama say no? So I think the ulama that say no, they're talking about in Muslim countries where there is the question of, can you go against the government? Can you rebel against the government? That's the whole idea. So are you allowed to rebel against the government? And they say, well, protesting is kind of rebelling against the government, so you can't do it. That's the view of those. And I think this is a position held by many Salafis. Salafis hold this position. If one is biting their lip or chewing inside of their mouth and bits of skin peels, is it prohibited? Ideally, spit it out, but if you swallow it, it won't be a problem. Wa alaikum assalam, my brother Muhammad. Always good to see you, mashallah. Is sparring with headgear permissible? I would say yes, even without headgear. Because in sparring, it's basically you're training yourself, aren't you? You're not there to kind of give the death blow to the other individual. You're not there to really cause harm to the individual. You just want to kind of build your own stamina, strength against another person. Zob, ahla wa sahlan, welcome. Okay, I'm going to go off Instagram now. So Instagram, if you guys want to continue, come on to the YouTube, inshallah. Can't give Insta all the status. Gotta give some too. All right. Next, Muhammad, even if it involves hitting, yes, because see, the prohibition of hitting the face is in a situation where you are like violent with them. You are like harming them. But here, it's obviously the person is going to be having their hands on, aren't they? They're protecting themselves. It's not like you're just giving blows to a person without them, unless, for example, it's to strengthen their face. Like sometimes some gyms, what they'll do is they will deliberately hit you in your face to strengthen your face. Yeah. Is wrestling sunnah? So what do you mean by sunnah, Abu Bakr? Do you mean by sunnah is it rewarding? Or do you mean by sunnah is it something that the Sahaba did? There's a difference, okay? Not everything the Sahaba did is rewarding for us to do. So wrestling is not considered, there's no special reward attached to wrestling itself, no specific reward attached to it. It depends on your intention, what you're doing it for. Yeah, and wrestling was basically, have you ever seen that kind of Olympic wrestling that people do in the Olympics? That's the kind of wrestling. Pin someone down. What is it called? Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wrestling. Yeah, that kind of thing. Very close contact. All of that would come under that kind of wrestling. Clearly, Sahabas obviously would have their own traditional wrestling. Is there a chart made explanation in English and Arabic of all the balagha terms in Balaghatul Wadiha? I don't know, I don't know. Generally, when I teach balagha, I teach it from the Quran only. That's the first thing I do. And then after that, I teach you balagha, Durus al-Balagha or something like that. Because I personally think teaching balagha wadiha is not the best place to start from. You're welcome, my brother Muhammad Huda. Ahlan wa sahlan, you're welcome. Now, like I say, Muhammad Huda, if I don't know the answer, then I won't answer. Yeah. And if I know the answer can be found in other places easily, I won't answer the question. Right? So I'll answer things which I feel as though it's something that I can answer. Is it true that saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illa contorts the meaning Anna la ilaha illallah? No, because it doesn't really, it's grammatically it's incorrect. But it's kind of fine if you're saying la ilaha illallah. Do you know Mufti Hussein Kamani from Kalam? I don't know him personally. إذا لم يفد حكم البيع بدون قبول الآخر فللموجب أن يرجع عنه. Does this mean since the hukm of the bay is not affected without qabul, then the offer can be retracted? Yeah, that's it. Just out of curiosity, if they hit your face to strengthen it, is that permissible? I would say there is permissibility in it. I would say there is permissibility because generally when they hit your face, they are not going to damage your face. It's not going to damage it the way they hit your face. It's not going to damage it. But if it's obviously going to damage the face, then this is something wrong. Absolutely. And if a person does it to kind of like, when you're angry at someone and let's say you hit them in the face, not allowed. Especially when it comes to ta'deeban, not permitted. You're welcome, Abu Bakr. Are there Curious Cat questions today? Curious Cat is down for the past few days. Yeah, unfortunately, Curious Cat, and I cannot get access to Curious Cat. So I've heard some people are saying they've actually closed down permanently. I don't know if that's true. If that is true, then I'll have to look for another platform. But Curious Cat for the past few days has been down. So if anyone has sent questions in before, unfortunately, those questions are not going to be accessible. Yeah, so Curious Cat is not working. What if they hit the face to improve my looks? That's like reverse hitting, is it? Like reverse, was it? Damage. Have you ever heard of Darul New York? I've heard the name, but I'm not too familiar with it. Of the Quran references that Yahud killed Anbiya, where is it explained who those Anbiya were? So if you look in Tafsir ibn Kathir mentions about them. In one place he mentions about 36 in one day. 36 in one day. So these are like, different sort of different. So we don't really know exactly. We don't have exact sort of narrations. They tried to kill Isa alayhi salam. Narrations mention that they killed Yahya alayhi salam, and Tafsir ibn Kathir mentions, for example, from some of them actually mention from Semitic texts, but we don't really have anything authentic to mention exactly who they were. For fiqh, if there are a bunch of naqli and aqli daleels for a masala, do you have any advice on how to keep track of? So I would say in fiqh is probably one of the hardest things to actually memorize, because the reason is because the masalas are so similar. If you really want to understand fiqh, there's two things I would say that really help me understand fiqh. Number one is going over the books and teaching it. So going over several books, like you look for one masala and then you read 5 or 6 books, the same masala, to kind of consolidate what you've learnt. That sticks in my head. And the other one is, I would say, is trying to understand the overarching concepts that this particular bab covers. So if you're studying Kitab al-Ijara, for example, what are the overarching concepts in Kitab al-Ijara that exist? So once you kind of cover those, you understand how Kitab al-Ijara works. Once you understand those concepts, when you look at the masail are simply manifestations of various scenarios. Yeah, and I think that's how fiqh should be taught. I personally think that's how fiqh should be taught. Is there such a thing as a Muslim country? So I would say a Muslim, yes, of course. A Muslim country would be where generally the laws are in line with the Muslim, and the majority of the people in the country are Muslim. Do you know any madaris in Pakistan that offer takhasus in tafsir? I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I think maybe, I mean, what they usually have in Pakistan is they have Dawra tafsirs. So they usually, because they have Dawra, they do it in 2 months, the whole tafsir Quran. So they usually have those. But tafsir, takhasus for tafsir, I'm not too sure if Jamiat al-Rashid does one. So then, is there any distinction between heavy sparring versus light sparring? So again, I would say that if generally sparring, from what I've seen from sparring, is if it's done in a way that is obviously done by professionals can protect themselves, right? So they can parry, they can protect their face very easily. But in professional fighting ring where matches take place, you clearly can see from their face how bruised up they are. That would be impermissible. I would say that, because there is no benefit for that. Abdullah Ahmed alaykum assalam wanted to ask about making dua against zalim. Totally permissible. Totally permissible. In fact, this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But when you make a dua against a zalim, you should make it like this. You should make a dua in such a way that you are describing the zalim rather than naming the zalim. Right? So you describe the zalim. So you say, Allahumma khzul man khadhala dina Muhammad. Oh Allah, desist in helping the one who has betrayed the deen of Muhammad. Yeah. So this is like a dua against them. Do you have any advice for a person doing part-time alim class at a local alimi program who is doing A levels? I mean, when I did A levels, I never used to study that hard in A levels. Yeah, to be honest, it all depends upon what A levels you're doing and how dedicated you are to it. I would say you need to have a very good level of focus in your studies if you want to do both of them. If you are doing both of them, but you're not very interested in general studying, then I would say don't do it. Take a rest, and once you finish your A levels or later on, then do your alim course. Or maybe even instead of doing the full alim course, just start learning Arabic on the side. Start learning Arabic grammar, sarf. I know you're almost finishing Mufti, but can I just ask, is the shirk of ascribing a son to Allah contingent on the idea of assigning divinity to whoever you call his son? Part of the, yeah, definitely, and that's one part. The other part obviously is that you are causing a defect in the whole Tawheed itself, because Tawheed is meant to mean unity. So you are actually creating disunity in the Tawheed. So as a case study with sparring, are the concepts to keep in mind intention and damage? Yes, I would say. And the urf of how people do it. So I'm speaking from the urf of what I understand. I've been in boxing, I've done MMA, so I kind of know exactly what kind of happens in these kind of things. I haven't really done it at a professional level or like competitive level, but I know how it can actually become. So I know, for example, if you're in the ring and there's a good person in the ring, you can actually protect your face from getting hit very easily. You might get that 1 or 2 hits in the nose and that, but it's very, very easy to protect yourself. If you say Allah has a son, but you do not believe that son is a god, is this shirk? Of course, it's. So if you say Allah has a son, you are actually going against the whole concept of Tawheed. Yeah, and by saying Allah has a son, you naturally mean that there is some aspect of Allah in that son. Otherwise, it's pointless saying there is a son of God. Okay, Bridge, wa alaikum salam. Is it true that during dark hours at night, if a person falls to nature or trees, forests, jinns stay there? If one urinates, the jinn get them. Not necessarily that it'll get them, but the jinn stay around these kind of areas. So just be careful. Make sure you read your du'as. Do you know any reliable scholars who do the rules of fiqh on YouTube? You mean in English? In English, you mean? Was Sadal actually practiced by Imam Malik? And I don't know the Maliki madhab. Also, please can you tell the user Muhammad on here to change his profile picture, as we don't worship the sandal. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with the sandal, my brother. No one is. No, I don't know what you've got in yours, but we don't worship what you've got in yours, my brother. Yeah. So the sandal is fine to have. If a person wants to have a sandal, nothing wrong with it. That might be your view, and I don't know why you're against it, but nothing wrong with it. We worship Allah, of course. That's like someone saying, don't have a dome on top of the mosque because we don't worship a dome. It's a bit silly, isn't it? So no offense to you, Bridge, but I think that comment there wasn't really kind of very sound. Is that method of dua out of adab? Is the method of dua out of adab? Yes, it's out of adab for how we do, because we don't know if a particular person might deserve a la'na. Like we don't know for that, and we have to be very careful. That person might have done tawbah. That's the thing. What is the overarching concepts of salah, just for example? So overarching concept of salah would be, there's many. For example, like that a person should have the fara'id, the set 6 fara'id of the salah. That's like an overarching concept, understanding the fara'id, understanding the wajibat, understanding that salat is nullified by anything which is from the normal human practices, like eating, drinking, speaking, etc. Sheikh, I wanted to ask if you are familiar with Samin al-Halabi. No, I'm not, unfortunately. So I've heard of the work, but I haven't really kind of looked into it. Sheikh, I really look forward to Saturdays because of your streams. Really, when Abu Hanifa asked Imam Sha'bi about the sciences regarding fiqh, he said, paraphrase, he goes to the people, understands the issues, then goes to the Quran and Sunnah to find solutions at its core. The faqih needs to be approachable. Definitely. 100%. Jazakallah khair. I think that's a praise to me. And I was talking about people getting praised today, scholars getting praised today. So I take that as a praise with a cup of tea as well. You see, the reason I started all of this is because I saw that generally there are people out there who don't have access to someone that they can honestly ask questions to. And what's happening is slowly is people are obviously learning the information from disjointed, scattered sound bites and videos and this and that, and information which isn't really kind of all consistent. And you need to understand the consistency of how you argue with someone. So like if I answer your questions, I feel as though what I'm going to slowly start to do for you is I'm going to create for you, like in your mind, of how my method of answering questions is. Like this is my method of how I answer questions. And if any of you guys have been following me from the beginning of many years, you know my answers are very consistent. And if I have changed my opinion on something, I tell you I've changed my opinion. And if I tell you I can't answer this question, I can't answer the question, right? So it's not as though I am deliberately trying to make it as though that I know more than I know. Or whatever I know, inshallah, I will tell you. And if I don't know it, inshallah, I won't talk about it, right? So this is why I think, and if there's something which I know is going to be very controversial and it's going to confuse the audience, I know you know I don't talk about it. So I don't talk about nuanced aqidah points, stuff like that. I will do an aqidah class, like for my patrons. Slowly, I'm putting up aqidah tahawiyah videos for them, and I know that this is something which generally is beneficial, because if you have a systematic way of going through something, the student's mind starts to become more aligned with the process, the methodology of that science, rather than just hearing scattered things about aqidah, the istawa al-arsh and this and that, and then getting confused of how does all of it fit together. This is why studying knowledge is very important. Have you done BJJ? No. I was actually wanted to go into it, but I just didn't really have time. If I side with a non-Muslim work-related issue, African Muslim has no adab and manners, the non-Muslim is very respectful. Am I out of Islam? No, you're not. If we invited to a birthday party by family, can we go? Inshallah. Why not? And invite me as well, bro. Can be English, Urdu, Arabic. So if you want Urdu, there's loads in Urdu. Like if you go to Sheikh Musa Khan Ruhan Bazi, his son, I forgot what his name is. He actually has a whole playlist of Dars in Nizam books that he's covered. So his are very good. You can follow his. If you want Arabic, then there's many like Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj. He's gone through many. And in English, there's actually Sheikh Dr. Suhail Hanif. He actually goes through Hidayah, I think through Irshad Institute. So if you go through Irshad Academy or Irshad Institute, one of them, if you go and contact them, I think you're going to pay some money for it. But he systematically goes through Hidayah. What did you mention yesterday about Hamza Maqbool, if that's the correct name? Yeah, so he actually has a 20-page or 25-page document that he's written on the whole history of this Palestine conflict. Can we raise our hands in Qunut Nazila? So the Hanafis generally say no, but I would say that if the other people are raising their hands, then you can raise your hands. Yes, Hanafis generally have their hands to the side. Is speaking regarding Allah that which you do not know shirk greater than shirk? This is what Ibn Qayyim held. So what do you mean, brother? Like, can you give some example? So if you know the overarching concepts, can you kind of predict what? Yes, exactly. That's it. So if you understand the overarching concepts, these scenarios, these masail, are basically manifestations of those overarching concepts. Want to apologize for that? No, brother, my brother, mashallah. I really like how, alhamdulillah, you apologize for that. And we're all Muslims, we all make mistakes. Alhamdulillah, we know that Allah is a forgiver, and we should forgive each other as well, inshallah. Mufti, some Unitarian Christians use phrases like "we are the children of God," but they do not mean by that they have any part of this rububiyyah. Isn't this a different usage of the word child? Yes, of course. Some majaz usage. Majaz. That's what the Quran, like in the Quran, when the tafsir says, "Nahnu abna'ullahi wa ahibba'uhu." When the Mufassirin say they did not believe they were biologically the children of God, they believed as in children, ka'abna'illah. How long ago was your first live stream? First live stream, how long ago was it? I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019, 2020. I think about 3. So you can go through the playlist and you can actually find one of the earliest ones. His son, Sheikh Zubair, that's the one, Sheikh Zubair. Yes, the one. Where can we access Hamza Makul's works on the issue? If you go to his Twitter page, he's got it on there. Only problem with Arabic durus is when the teacher's dialect kicks in. So if you go to Sheikh Salah al-Hajj, I think he's very clear. Sheikh Adham Asimi, he is very clear as well. Fusha. Mawlawi's Guide to Gaza. That's what the Sheikh Hamza's that document is about. Mawlawi's Guide to Gaza. What is the difference between Ash'ari and Maturidi Aqidah? So Ash'ari, so if you were listening in the beginning, Ash'ari Aqidah is basically just sticking to whatever has been mentioned by the Quran and Sunnah and not trying to find a rational defense mechanism for it. That's the difference. So it's basically, it's one of the, it's two sides of the same coin, but it's just Maturidis have said we believe in what Ash'aris believe, but we try to find a rational argument for it. What does Dars Nizam mean, and what does Miftah Ihsan mean? Miftah Ihsan. So Dars Nizami in Arabic simply just means, or it's a Farsi word, the study of the Nizam system, a guy called Nizam. And Miftah means key, Ihsan means goodness, key of goodness. Sheikh, what does religious pluralism and pluralism mean, and what is Ahl Sunnah's view on it? So religious pluralism, if it is in the context of what the people say, is that all religions, as long as they believe in God or something, they're all going to reach salvation, basically. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah believe that only one religion today is the religion that is pleasing to Allah, which is Islam. And if a person learns of Islam and does not accept Islam and dies in this state, then that person will not reach salvation. Irfan B, if someone is reading a book out loud and reads out loud a statement of shirk, for example, will the reader be no? Will not. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Rayhan. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother Rayhan. Welcome, hope you're well. Your answer about those who didn't receive accurate representation of Islam are Ahl Fatra, is that a Maturidi position? So this is actually this is a position that is mentioned by all the madhabs, but it's just there's a small little technicalities between the Ash'aris and the Maturidis on this issue. Yeah, it's all technicalities. Do you think that we are losing scholars faster than we can replace them? Of course, definitely, 100%. And I think you guys, if some of you guys have the capability, become scholars. Honestly, if that is one thing that I would say is the most important thing for people to invest themselves in, is become scholars. Start bit by bit. Start learning Arabic. Start getting access to understanding the Arabic, and then slowly build yourself up. Even if it takes you 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, doesn't matter. But go for it. It is going to be an investment that you will be proud of on the Day of Judgment, without any doubt at all. There's no doubt about it. There's no regrets. There's no remorse in studying the Deen of Allah with the intention that you want to strengthen the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. Unfortunately, we have scholars dying, passing away, and we don't have enough people that are replenishing the number that we're losing. And it's the scary thing is when the scholars we have today are all dying, who's going to come next? Like, who is going to be the next person that's looked up to? Is it going to be someone who has qualification, or is it going to be some random guy who just knows a bit of Arabic and has read a few articles and read a few books here and there and just answers people's questions? That's the scary thing there is. So they need, I would say, we need men scholars, we need female scholars, to actually people to get up, step up, and actually go for it, work hard. And alhamdulillah, I've seen on our live streams, many of you guys have actually from before started learning knowledge. Some of you have gone abroad to study. Some of you have, and you can see this as well. I've seen this in some of you guys. Like in the beginning, some of you guys, your questions were very sort of like confused questions, or maybe coming across a bit harsh. But then slowly you began to realize that you have to study something, or you have to go about it. Definitely, I would honestly invest in becoming a scholar if you can invest. Ideally, if you can give up everything and then just dedicate yourself to becoming a scholar, but that's hard for most people. That's not feasible, right? Because people have commitments, which is understandable. If you can't do that, then do the next best thing. Try to study in a more part-time fashion. Yeah, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's in groups, whether it's in a part-time course. Alaikum assalam, my brother Masir Ali. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. As you can see, my brother Masir, I'm wearing my hat today. I'm feeling cold. It's cold outside. Temperatures are dropping down to, let me just check now for you guys. It's actually outside. Guess what temperature is? Its temperature is dropped down to 6 degrees now. And they're saying it's going to go down to 3 degrees. So today I had to bring my lemon plant. I got a lemon plant in the garden. So I had to bring it in today, because outside, if it gets too cold, it might just die and then lose all the small little lemons I've got growing. And unfortunately, some foxes or some animals have been coming and eating the small lemons that I've grown. Inna lillah. Very good, Masir Ali. How can a layman become a basic scholar? Explain process. I'm in my mid-30s. I cannot read yet. So that was the explanation I gave. So what you need to do is you need to find yourself a structure have a structure. Okay, this is my life. This is the commitment I can make. Personally speak to a scholar one-to-one. Say, okay, what can I do? And I had a guy, mashallah, this guy's from Belgium, and he sometimes still keeps in contact with me. And the guy, he was in the UK for, I don't know, for some trip or something, and then he wanted to visit me. He came to visit me, and he wanted, basically, he had a whole list of questions, and the guy wanted to map out his whole next several years of how he's going to learn knowledge. And I was amazed. First time I've ever seen someone so dedicated that from this year and this year, I want to focus on this subject, and I want to get to this level. And on this year, I want to focus on this. And what should I do after that? So I think that's what you need to do. So, so you can do it, inshallah, Bridge. I think you can do, definitely. If you, the kind of questions you ask, I think you have the mental capacity to actually become a scholar. It's just you have to schedule your time, dedicate your time. It's going to be a bit harder than nafs, but you can do it, inshallah. Wudu needs to touch the Arabic Quran. Yes, you need wudu. Won't it be too late if someone is in their 30s? No, of course not. You look at most of the Sahaba. Most of the Sahaba learned the deen when they were Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Look, he was in his 40s. Yeah. How do you identify overarching concepts? You have to study it from a teacher. Wa alaikum assalam, respected ahlan wa sahlan, my brother Riyaz. You're doing great work. May Allah accept your efforts for supporting my channel, Riyaz. MashaAllah, I really appreciate it. May Allah put barakah in your work and your effort and your time and your family. Sheikh, in relation to your question of becoming a scholar, how do you define alim? So I would say this: if someone asked me what is an alim, you know what I say? I say an alim is a person who can, if they were to be left on an island of people, they would be able to teach the deen to the people from beginning to end. That is an alim. Yeah, so an alim is like a self-contained madrasa in themselves. That's the level that you need to reach to actually become someone as an alim. So if you can leave that individual on an island, they can teach sarf, they can teach nahu, they can teach fiqh, they can teach tafsir, they can teach all the sciences to get another copy of them. Yeah, that's basically all I would say an alim is. Something that motivates me to take ilm more seriously is the fact that we have scholars both in the past and contemporary times that studied, taught, and worked at full-time capacities. Definitely. Ustad, please do dua. Allah grants me the ability to manage work, sufa, and everything else going on. May Allah make it easy for you, my brother. Always remember, guys, turn to Allah. So many times when I was studying, I thought it was overwhelming and I was thinking of quitting. And you just turn to Allah, be sincere to Allah, and Allah will answer your calls. Allah, He does not let down someone who, especially when they're doing it for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyone that is doing something for the deen of Allah, Allah never ever lets them down. Alhamdulillah. Sheikh Muhammad Juma in Syria started studying Islam when he was in his 30s. Many people I know that actually started. I actually know a guy who became an alim, a doctor. Imagine this. This guy's a consultant, full-time consultant. He's a lecturer in university, and he used to come and he used to study. And for 8 years, he completed the whole course. Imagine that. And he finished when he was in his 70s. The guy, I mean, that's dedication. That is. I know a guy who was a solicitor, then he became a judge, and he completed all 8 years. Alhamdulillah. Lifelong endeavor, that's it. You'll never reach a point where you can say, now I'm a scholar. Another thing is trying to do too much at once. In psychology, when your attention is multiplied, it can cause anxiety. Yeah, I like that one. I'm a layman. I have akida issues, different sex, different things. It's messed me up. Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a sad thing that's happening to a lot of people, because the information we're getting is from so scattered places. We can't so imagine this happens. Imagine for example, you're trying to learn about cancer, and you read this article, and you read this tweet, and you read this post, and you read this, and you hear this video, and you put together all this understanding, and there seems to be consistency in there, but there's a lot of questions that's still on your mind that you don't know. Where do you get those questions answered? That's what's happening with a lot of people, especially when they're learning Aqidah. They don't know. This guy's saying, don't listen to Maturidis. This guy's saying, don't listen to Salafi. This guy's saying, don't listen to Atharis. This guy's saying, and it's confusing for a lot of people. That's why structured studying solves all of that. Drop by drop, the valley flooded. When doing dua, should we be specific? Grant me this job and make it the best for me. Or should we ask Allah to grant us what's best for us? Yes, you can make both. Both are totally fine. Totally fine. Do you know, I usually say this whenever I'm thinking of something. I say, oh Allah, if there is khair and barakah and blessing in there, this for me, then make it easy for me. And istikhara, dua of istikhara is the best thing to do. Do you know anyone who completed the alim course to a poor standard, but through effort got themselves up to scratch? Yeah, definitely. I know several individuals come to my head that actually did that. They were weak, but then later on, they just pulled their socks up and they just knocked everything out and did it. Remember, the thing about knowledge is not in a monopoly of a few. Knowledge can be accessed by many. But the problem with that is, imagine knowledge is like Mount Everest, right at the top of Mount Everest. Everyone can see the knowledge. They know how to get there. But it's just like, how many people are willing to make the sacrifice to get up there? It's those few, isn't it? That's the few who are going to gain that special reward. That's what you have to. And you have to ask Allah so much. You have to beg Allah. It's an amazing, journey, knowledge is, because imagine climbing a mountain, sometimes heavy rain or snow, and sometimes heavy winds, strong winds, and sometimes your clothing, is causing you problems, and sometimes your health. There's so many things to get there. Is island metaphor what is beginning to end. Yeah, that's it. Also, do dua regarding marriage and Allah makes me a good husband. Inshallah, my brother, I will definitely do that, Rayhan. Yeah, inshallah. First of all, you need to get married, find a spouse. We have, mashallah, brother Rayhan is looking to get married, guys. So inshallah, it's a very good student of mine. And if there's anyone out there, just contact me, email me, inshallah, if anyone's interested. Okay, look at that. Look at that. This is marriage bureau. Marriage bureau. Liaquat Zaman's marriage bureau. Most importantly, I've heard traditional scholars say if one becomes a scholar, he has an obligation to give da'wah career. I would say 100%. 100%. And why not? This is an honorable thing. Okay, you like the definition, yeah? Is it true that leaving prayer is kufr? Not according to the vast majority of the scholars. This is an interpretation of a few. What is one tafsir that is focused on points of language balagha? I would say, if you want one that's focused on language balagha that I really, really like, I would say tafsir Tahrir al-Tanwir. Tafsir Tahrir al-Tanwir, tafsir Ibn Abu Sa'ud. These are the two, and tafsir al-Lubab and tafsir al-Baqa'i. Yeah, so tafsir Tahrir al-Tanwir, Abu Sa'ud, tafsir al-Baqa'i, tafsir, what else did I say? Tafsir, skip my mind now. Tafsir Abu Sa'ud, skip my mind what was. What did I say? I forgot what I said now. Skip my mind. Oh, and another one is Zamakhshari's Kashaf. It's a bit hard. Kashaf is a very hard to really kind of get your head around, I would say. You can read it and probably understand what he's saying, but to kind of grasp where he's coming from, that's the hard thing in that tafsir. Your talk on scholarly journey sounds inspirational, but what if one fears being a hypocrite? It's easier being a layperson than one teaching others. Oh yes, you know what I would say? This is what I would say. So, with regards to your feedback as well on that you mentioned about the talk as well. I read it like that. I read it, mashallah, I kind of like, it was very valid points there. But this is what I would say, look, if you ever think to yourself in life, anything which is good and rewarding for you, you should go for it. If it's in your capacity, go for it. And if you get any doubts about it, then remember those doubts are from shaitan. And if you ever think, if you think, I'm going to be a hypocrite in this, that's actually shaitan speaking from the back. Never ever think to yourself, like, let's say you're becoming a doctor. You think, oh, what if I become a bad doctor? What if I start abusing patients? What if I start getting, fame and fortune and start abusing that power that I have and etc.? Then you're never going to become a doctor, are you? Become a doctor, become a scholar, become a parent, get married, whatever it is. But always remember, you're going to keep yourself in check. That is the most important thing. How would you define wisdom? How would you increase in this? And how does it differ to knowledge? Wisdom. Okay, look at this now. Data, information. Data is like pieces of information. Yeah. When you get all that data and you make sense of it, this is now called information now. So data becomes information. Then that information, when that information now has a structure to it, like has a system from beginning to end, consistency, this now becomes ilm, becomes a science. Then that ilm, when that ilm is actually implemented in the society, you take that science, you learned it from beginning to end, and now you're implementing in society. That's called wisdom. Does that make sense? So data becomes information, information becomes a science, and the science becomes wisdom. Leaving prayer out laziness, not kufr. Exactly. Everyone wants to learn ilm, but few can do it. What characteristics are essential to become a good scholar? So I would say, do not worry about the characteristics now. For now, just make dua to Allah. He gives you tawfiq to become one. And then the characteristics, you can learn them as you go along. Like, does anyone ever ask the characteristics or what's the characteristics of becoming a good doctor? No one does. They go into medicine and then afterwards they find out. Are men allowed to wear tight shirts? Does the swath end at the top of the kneecap or the bottom? The swath, I don't know what this is. So men are allowed to wear tight shirts, but if they are wearing it to show off ostentatiousness, then it's not allowed. Yeah, and if it's clearly something that's causing attraction in front of others, then they should not be wearing it. They should wear loose tops. A great piece of advice I heard to counter thoughts about stopping seeking knowledge or spreading it due to lack of sincerity was to make your hidden deeds greater than your. Subhanallah, I like that one as well. Are any haircuts impermissible? Any haircuts in Islam that resemble a specific religion, like the Jewish hair or the Christian monks when they make themselves bald in the middle, that would not be allowed. Or if it's a haircut which clearly is something which goes against the muru'ah of a man, the sort of like, the dignity of a man in society or a woman. Tafsir Lubab, Jazakallah promotion. Look at that, bro. See what I do for you? Tafsir Lubab. Yeah, Ibn Adil's Tafsir Lubab. Tafsir Ibn Ashur, Tafsir Lubab, Tafsir Saud, Tafsir Biqa'i, and Tafsir Zamakhshari. That's the one. Those are the four I would recommend if you really want to get into Balagha. Does one have to know Quran fully to become an alim? Yes. I've read pious predecessors say before learning ilm, learn adab, how to apply this in our life. Definitely. I agree, that's a good one, guys. In this verse, is the istithna munfasil or muttasil? ومن حيث خرجت فولي وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطرا لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا الذين ظلموا. So here, this is the verse in regards to the changing of the qibla. Okay, so direction. When we say istithna munfasil, so look, istithna basically, remember this, istithna has three parts to every istithna. So for example, if I say Zayd came, the people came except Zayd. The people came except Zayd, right? Zayd is called the exempted, and the people are the group for exemption. So the group from which Zayd was exempted, that's them. So we're going to call Zayd the exempted, and we're going to call, or the exemptee, if that's a word, and the group, we're going to call the people, the group from which this was exempted. So therefore, if you have a sentence where you have Zayd came, or the people came, except Zayd, that means Zayd is considered to be part of the people, isn't it? But if I was to say this, the people came except the dog. The people came except the dog. Yeah, the people came except the dog. What this basically means is the dog is not part of the people. That's why when we translate this, we translate it as however. The people came, however, the dog didn't. Right? So that's the difference between the two. This would be what we call munqati'. Yeah. Istithna munqati'. Inqita' muttasil. Yeah. So some people use the word munqati', some people use muttasil. So munqati' is where you can translate it as walakin. And if you can't translate it as walakin, you translate it as except that individual is part of them, then it's muttasil. So now you tell me, what do you think this is? لِأَلَّا يَكُونَ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَيْكُمْ حُجَّةً إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. Yeah, so this is why the Mufassirin generally say this is munqati'. وَلَكِنْ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. Will there be people who will enter Jannah without judgment? Yes, of course. Inshallah, there will be people. Make dua that Allah makes us those. Alright guys, I am going to finish it there. Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah bless all of you for turning up today on this cold day. Tomorrow I have to attend a wedding. In the morning I've got cycling. I've got to attend the wedding. So inshallah, hopefully I'm going to be ready for that. And make dua again for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, people of Gaza, of Gaza. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them protection from the oppressors, and Allah gives our Muslims leaders and those people who have the power to be able to intervene, gives them the tawfiq to do so. Advice for the week. Advice for the week, my brother Muhammad, I would say my advice for the week would be this. The more you learn about yourself, this is from what I learned today from the course, right? So those of you guys who attended the course today, um, the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about your limitations, the more you learn about the way that your body works, the way your mind works, is going to make you a better person. Yeah, that's generally the rule. Obviously, if you ignore that, then you're not really going to become a better person. And if you attended the course today, you'd actually know what I'm talking about. If you know, for example, more about your eyes, if you know the function of your eyes, if you know the purpose of why Allah gave you eyes, you're going to become more careful in how you use your eyes. You're just going to naturally, even if you use them wrongly, you're going to feel more guilty. And the more you learn about how your hands are supposed to be used, or how your tongue is supposed to be used, or how your ears are supposed to be used, all of these ni'mas, bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are things that you're meant to learn more about them. If you read the Quran, you actually will see Allah reminds you about them. And look at the eyes, look at the ears, look at this, look at that, look at that. These are all kind of things that our religion teaches us that we should become more and more aware of. So just learn about what your surroundings, learn about the purpose of life, learn about what you're meant to do. Why is it that you, who's watching this, why is it that you are who you are, and there's another person who is achieving so much in a certain field? Why? First of all, because that person understood why they want to do that. Like, for example, Elon Musk or someone else. And the other is obviously opportunities. Opportunities is not always within our control. So, like, whenever you guys asked about becoming scholar, yeah, becoming scholars. So I would say, look, if you want to become a scholar, you know how to become a scholar. It's not something which is hidden secret knowledge. And to become a scholar, you have to, I don't know, do some special training to understand how to become a scholar. No. And how to become a scholar, you can actually learn that. Then to become a scholar, that is something which obviously requires commitment, sacrifice, and opportunities. And opportunities sometimes people don't have. Sometimes Allah does not give a person the tawfiq of opportunities. Why is it that I'm not a doctor? I know how to become a doctor. I was taught the process of becoming a doctor, the results I needed in my A levels. But it's just that in my life, I was just slacking in my grades. I didn't kind of work hard enough to actually become a doctor. And then because of that, I didn't go into it. So I lost the opportunities because of my own lacking. So I would say, if you take away any nasiha for today, I would say generally is just learn about yourself more, learn about your potential, learn about what you can do, and then you need the motivation. That motivation is a very, very important thing. I would say that's a hard thing to get sometimes, motivation. Some people are just naturally motivated. Some people need other people to push them. Some people just need to be told what to do, and they just do it. I think that's the way Allah's created us. Right, make sense. Jazakallah khair, Abdullah. Make dua before you go, Sheikh. Ya Allah, give success and barakah to all the viewers here. Any difficulties they're going through, any hardships, Ya Allah, you are fully aware of them. They are brothers and sisters, Ya Allah, who are watching this, and they are trying to come close to you, Ya Allah. They are the ones who are always asking questions in order for them to understand their religion, understand how to become better people. Ya Allah, make them people you're proud of, make them people that leave this dunya with a legacy, make them people that they stand on the day of judgment in front of you and they have deeds that people envy, and make them people that can support the people who are victims of injustice wherever they are around the world, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, and let them leave the world with the kalima on their tongues, Ya Allah. And also, Ya Allah, all the Muslims around the world who are suffering, going through hardships, Ya Allah, forgive them all. Give them barakah in their time, in their efforts. Replace what has been taken away from them with much better. Ya Allah, deal with the oppressors in the way that you see fit, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Make them, Ya Allah, make the victims see the oppressors being recompensed in this dunya, Ya Arhamar Rahim, with their own eyes, Ya Allah. Just like you made the Bani Israel see Fir'aun drown in the water, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, so that their hearts can become relieved of all that pain and anguish, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, those who have lost their children and family members in Gaza and these places, Ya Allah, give them contentment in their hearts, give them sabr, and grant them better in this dunya and the akhirah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, those of our parents, give us the tawfiq to serve our parents, Ya Allah. Those who have passed away, Ya Allah, give us the ability to have the means to be able to make sadaqah jariyah for them as well in this dunya, and reunite us with them in Jannat al-Firdaus, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Allah. Ameen. Bi rahmatika ya Arhamar Rahimin. All right, guys. Jazakumullah khair. You're welcome. Everybody, Abdullah, Afzal, how to reduce love of dunya. Also, how can I reduce fear of death? I'm going to finish now, my brother, so you can ask this, inshallah, question next week, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. I will see you guys next time. I'll just quickly answer Abdullah Afzal's, and then I'll just finish. So, reducing love of dunya basically means love of the dunya, willing to compromise your religious duties for the dunya. That's what love of dunya means. You are willing to give up fajr for your sleep. You are willing to give up your salat for work. You are willing to give up Jummah for going on holiday. You are willing to give up guarding your gaze because of your... This is love of dunya. This is the way to reduce it, is to simply, I would say very easily, is to work on instilling in your heart the importance of your religion over everything. Priority is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the most important thing. And how can I reduce the fear of death? You can reduce the fear of death by contemplating death. Contemplate death every single day as much as you can. Realize you're going to go into the qabr one day. Imagine just for 5 minutes, sit down and think to yourself, how would it feel to be in the qabr and the family's throwing the dust over me, the earth over me? How would that feel? And slowly that will overcome your fear, inshallah. Wa iyaakum, everybody. So, wa iyaakum, ameen, ameen. And Rayhan, everyone take care, inshallah. I'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi